was in California, a swim from Santa Monica to Catalina, doing only the breaststroke. 3 women signed up for the tryouts, a brunette, a redhead, and a blonde. The race started, and approximately 14 hours later, the brunette staggered up to the shore and was declared the winner. About 40 minutes later, the redhead crawled ashore and was declared the second place finisher. Nearly 4 hours after that, the blonde finally came ashore and promptly collapsed in front of the worried onlookers. When the reporters asked, why did it take so long to complete this regulation breaststroke race, she replied, I don't want to sound like a sore loser, but I think those 2 other girls were using their arms.
You get that from now last week you do it. Hey man, you think last week you're gonna start it.
All right, I came prepared. A man met a beautiful lady, and he declared that he wanted to marry her right away. She protested, but we don't know anything about each other. He replied, that's all right. We'll learn about each other as we go along. So she consented, and they were married and went on a honeymoon to a very nice resort. On the following morning, they were lying by the pool when the man decided to get up, take off his towel, climb up the 10-meter board, and did a 2.5 pike gainer, entering the water perfectly, almost without a ripple. This was followed by 3 rotations in jackknife position before he again straightened out and cut the water like a knife. After a few more demonstrations, he came back and laid down on his towel. She said, that was incredible. He said, I used to be an Olympic dive champion. You see, I told you we'd learn more about ourselves as we go along. So she got up, jumped in the pool, and started doing laps. She was moving so fast that the froth from her push off at one end of the pool would hardly be gone before she was already touching the other end of the pool. She did laps in freestyle, breaststroke, even butterfly. After about 30 laps, she completed in mere minutes. She climbed back out and lied down on a towel, barely breathing hard. He said, that's incredible. Were you an Olympic endurance swimmer? No, she said. I was a hook in Alabama, and I worked both sides of the Tennessee River. Something I tried 2 weeks ago, sort of an icebreaker, to welcome you to this week's English lecture series. So, without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Ms. Melanie Roach, Director of Ministry of Public Works, who will come and introduce our guest speaker.
Good afternoon. Somebody please buy just so they just like cutting it. So guest speaker today is Mr. Chuck, let me see if I get this right. Whisman or Whisman? Whisman. Mr. Whisman is a professional engineer in Pennsylvania with over 25 years of experience supporting clients with their environmental remediation, compliance, geotechnical, permitting, health and safety, and data management challenges. Mr. Whisman has spent a large amount of his career supporting his global clients with challenging engineering projects, typically as the project manager or engineering lead, and often incorporating real-time monitoring and data management solutions. He has worked on many projects in the Bahamas, including with the Ministry of Public Works, Bahama, ESSO, Shell, the Hotel Corporation, BPL, and others. Mr. Whisman was the project manager and remediation design lead for Geosentech on the Ministry of Public Works-led Clifton Pier barrier wall system. He has assisted clients on asset and integrity data management projects, including leading the development of British Petroleum's global environmental integrity management program, which included risk reviews, facility inspections, compliance audits, emergency preparedness, and engineering competence requirements. Please welcome Mr. Whisman to the podium.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. This could easily be titled How to Make Your Lives Easier. When we talk about automating and workflow, there's a lot of advances we've had in the world really on data management, information management. And think of this statistic, every year we collect about double the information that we collected a year ago. So the cause of that, our cell phones, tablets, communication systems have gotten better and better to be able to manage and transfer that data easily to each of you in our everyday lives. I mean, think about it. People have doorbell cameras, and every traffic light in many countries has video cameras and automation on it. And if you start thinking about all the data points that we collect, it's pretty massive. So I really wanted today to be showing you different examples, and some of these examples should be able to really trigger something with each of you in your daily work and how you can automate things to make it easier. So I'll get into a lot of examples. So there's a lot of benefits to information management programs. It's at the root cause, it makes your life easier and you can reduce costs. But it also gets better data for you, allows you to make better decisions. As I think of the Ministry of Public Works, you have projects across many different islands. Many of you sit in one location, you don't have time to get out and see all the different locations. Can everybody hear me okay? Is that okay? Okay. If you have information at your fingertips that you can manage your projects and your data better, your information better, your life's a lot easier, and you're able to really make better decisions every day from it. So these are just some different aspects that it can do. It also drives collaboration. You might have a stakeholder group, a project team across different islands or different offices in different locations. Maybe some people are in the field at a project site, some people are back at the office, and you can collaborate. You can see the same thing at the same time. Construction could be going on in another island, and it's almost like you can be there because on your desktop computer you can see photos, videos, real time, see data as it's being collected, and those are some of the things that we'll be talking about and showing examples of. And the other interesting thing, you can send alerts, automatic emails, notifications if something's out of compliance. If you have a water level sensor that's showing you that the sea level is rising near a major asset or infrastructure, it can send you an email. If it's something that's out of compliance or is an issue that needs fixed, a bridge, a road, something like that, it can send information via email as soon as it's entered into the application. So typically in the process, you do a needs analysis and assessment and you evaluate what are your needs, what can you really dream up to make your life easier. What system can be developed to be put in place, and there's a lot of databases and data management systems that are easy to put together. Training is important because those of you who are going to use the computer interface and just go to a website with a password and be able to click on different items is important, but also the people in the field. If somebody's doing an inspection or audit in the field, they can have that form on their phone, not a piece of paper, on a tablet or on their phone, and just click boxes. And we'll show some examples of that. Doing a pilot study could be an easy thing to do. You have a new construction project, a bridge, culvert project, a dock, and you're going to test something out. Hey, I want to have cameras there that I can see what's going on remotely. I want to have the forms be automated so I can get that data into a database and visualize that in real time. So these are the typical steps in the process that could be pretty simple. From a needs assessment to a pilot study could be a month. So it might not be as daunting as it was in the past. Data management systems, 10 years ago, you had some of these type tablets come out, a more durable tablet for field applications that have gotten better and better. But even now, a lot of people, there's applications that could be used on a phone, on a tablet like that, on an iPad. These are just some examples of some of the things you can automate. And if you can This could be somebody in the field who's seeing better information as they're going to assess the situation. So there's already a map on there. There's previous data on there. There's addresses, contacts. The person in the field has better information, and they're better equipped to do their job. Back at the office, maybe you have a dashboard like this that if there's a problem with something, depending on what your role is, maybe it automatically shows an alert if this person in the field captures data that shows that something's a problem. And then you have a dashboard or an email that comes to you that tells you that you need to do something with it. So there's a lot of some examples up here, and we'll get into other ones. Some of these are compliance, some of these are to protect assets. Ministry of Public Works, you maintain and you build some pretty important, expensive assets. So we're going to show some examples of how you can help protect them. And instead of having to replace that road or bridge in 10, 20 years, maybe it's going to last another 10 or 20 years because you have better data, you're tracking it, you're doing improved maintenance because you have better data to make a decision on. So just an example of some of the things that can come in. You have field data that could be on some of those tablets coming in, audit reports, inspection logs, photographs. Could be, let's say somebody's doing geotechnical work at a project site. That lab data could be automatically coming into your database. Other electronic forms, you could have sensors, you could have weather stations. We'll show some different examples. You could be measuring flow through culverts. If something, again, it gets out of whack, you can get an alert right away. And then if you're back at the office, all this information goes in the database, and then you can view and use that data to make better decisions. And it's a great process. We're going to get into some examples here shortly that show you some of the things that you can be doing with the data. Information can be entered through a web browser, through any kind of form or tablet. You can also export historical data, and you have old data that could be in spreadsheets that could now go automatically into a database. Migrating of legacy historical data is typically a big portion for a lot of the compliance type work, or if you have old inspection data that you want to get in addition to everything moving forward. This is an example of, your cell phone could have different tabs on it. If you're in the field a lot and field personnel, this could be different inspection forms that they click on and they can automatically do an inspection. If there's a safety problem, they click on the safety app, take a picture, and now it's in the system and gets to the right people. If it's something with a road, with a bridge, with whatever kind of asset, they click on a button, they take the inspection log, and it automatically goes to the right people. Everything can be customized to exactly what you need from a data collection and then from an evaluation standpoint as well. And those of you who need to look at the data can see it automatically as soon as it's entered, it's into the database, and it's at your disposal. This is showing a trucking waste management example there, but a lot of different examples that are out there. You can also have GIS reference locations. Again, if somebody's doing an inspection or audit, historical data could be coming up. If you're looking at the map site that's available to you, you can click on different buttons here and automatically see the data. And that could be many different things. For your coastal resiliency team, that could be sea level rise or other key storm-related information. If you're on the geotechnical structural side, that could be geotechnical data that comes up. That might be important for you to see as that data is being collected, or maybe even down the road, because once the data is in the database, it's going to be accessible to you. So that's another key point, is the fact that you'll have this data. If it's just on paper, it's easy for data and information to get lost. And just some more examples where you could have maps and information, tables and charts come up. If you want to take this data and have it go right into a model, let's say a storm or sea surge model or something like that, a geotechnical boring cross-section to see the subsurface cross-section, you could have it do that as well. So whatever the data is that's important to you, this is showing health and safety data. So if you're a health and safety person, you can have this come up on items that are coming in that you need to look at or might need to respond to. You could have emails that could come to you automatically as well. And then also, you can track deliverables. And also track if something's out of compliance. Let's say you care to look at pothole incidents at the Ministry of Public Works, that people can automate that pothole incident. It gets to the right person, and you make sure that somebody is following up, or you use this to help prioritize where you're going to spend your capital money to make the repairs. This is a quick example where a client was doing inspection work, construction inspection type work, and it was taking 20 hours per inspection. And when you look at the field versus office work, it was half office work, half field work. By going to a data management system, that 20 hours became 9 hours of time. They focused on the field portion, and then the people in the office, they focused on looking at the data and assessing what they needed to do to fix it. So not only did you save a lot of time, but these people in the office aren't doing administrative tasks. They're doing their job to look at the technical aspect of what they need to look at and prioritize that issue or incident. So there's a lot of different things on this slide, but again, you can see the tool, you can see how, I think this is showing road information and automatically goes into tables for other people to see. Field sensors is another aspect. There's so many sensors for anything we monitor by hand. There's probably a sensor that you don't need to monitor by hand. You just install the sensor and you get the data to come 24/7 real time without a person needed to field collect it. There's also data quality aspects. You can check the data that's being entered is good data, and there's no problems with the data quality as well. Your forms can be in a library too, so the Ministry of Public Works could have, let's say, 40 different inspection forms that are all automated that could be accessed through one application. Maybe you're going out to a site to do one job, but really you need another form. Well, that form's right on your tablet or your phone. It's right there for you. So your dashboard also, we'll talk a little bit about dashboards. What each person sees on their computer can be customized to you. I know there's some people here that might do more compliance work, and in let's say environmental compliance world, you might just want to see the environmental compliance data that's being collected, and in real time as that's being collected, that's entering the database. You can see it as it's being entered. Again, since many of you are doing work across many different islands, it brings you closer to being there. I've had projects. I'm based out of the United States, but I have projects in the Bahamas that I monitor from the United States, and I'll show some examples of that. It feels like I'm right there with the project, wherever it is in the world. So the dashboard can be customized. You can do a scatter plot if you care about looking at data and data trends. You can view it and put data on maps, and the software that's interlinked can be a push of a button for you. So if you have software that you like to use, the database is set the right way, it can be automated in that regard. So this is just a list of some of the data that can be collected. At a minimum, just photos and GIS reference photos can go a long way to some of your construction projects that are happening across the islands. Could be engineering drawings, could be the field data. For those of you that manage wastes or health and safety, that information can be here as well. When you put all this together, when you talk about good project management for the big infrastructure projects you do, you talk about project control. This is one of the best ways for Ministry of Public Works to have control of your projects, control of the contractors, and make sure that you don't have as many change orders or scope goes out months beyond further than it really should. You're tracking it and maintaining it, and it really gives you that overall control. And I'm a big fan of the field sensors, and I'm going to show you a lot of examples of that. So maybe this is an example of what I call a dashboard. So you go to a web page, you have a security password you put in, and this might be your customized page. Maybe you're managing 10 new capital projects for Ministry of Public Works, and those 10 projects come up here. As you click on each one, it goes into that project. Maybe there's construction going on in Clifton Pier, and you see real-time cameras, you see the inspection logs for the day. You're up to speed on exactly what the progress is. You can look at financial reports, you can look at, let's say, engineering drawings or the different manuals that are put together. What equipment is at the site, what safety protocols are being followed, did they have a safety meeting in the morning? Did they use that form? Was that form put in there? What are the things they talked about? I really like the aspect of project control when you have a big new capital project, and as a project manager, having something like this allows me to feel comfortable that I have good control of the project. I know what contractors are doing in the field. I know the progress. I know what the budget is. Having this type of tool really makes your life so much easier when you're managing that type of project. And here's another snapshot of another dashboard. Meeting data and information can be tracked. Everything's automated, not on paper. Contacts, everybody you need to know for that specific project could be there. You click on their name and it will send an email right to them. It makes your job a little easier to communicate. Incident reports, inspections, any kind of submittal. Maybe submittals, maybe you're tracking person by person. Who's reviewing it next? Did they complete it? Is it coming to me next to review? I'll review it, click that my comments are in there. Now it goes to the next person to review. And then cost and financial management. When you look at the 4 primary phases of cost management, the resources, the cost estimating, the budget, and having that cost control, it can all be automated for you so that you can see real time, okay, what is the percent of the work complete versus the budget or hours utilized, what's my cost versus budget over time, month to month. How are we doing overall? Where's that location? Click on it, and it takes you into more depth and detail. You can take this to even this level on managing your cost of your maintenance program or your capital project. So this was a project where it was a survey project where 10-day field work over several hundred buildings was needed. So imagine doing this with just paper. This would have been really tedious and very hard to put everything together. So everything was done with tablets. So everybody who did an audit, there were over 400 individual forms completed with 800 photos. And nothing was done on paper. It was all done electronically in the database. And that database took the information and put out some pretty awesome statistics and visuals. It also allowed the client to prioritize where they need to spend their capital improvements. So do an audit of all these assets, you get good data from it, you're able to analyze it one versus the next because all the data is similar because when you put an electronic form together, every inspection is going to be the same. So you're able to really compare them nicely to each other. Real-time monitoring, I mentioned about the sensors and so forth. From weather stations to water levels to all kinds of different things that we could be analyzing. One of the newest things that you see is some of the sensors in bridges to look at problems with the bridge settlement or structurally over time. And if you put the right sensors in there during the construction, you could just be monitoring things, and maybe you get an email if something ever is a problem data set. So the big thing is in the last 10 years, the sensors that are out there for just about everything are much cheaper. Even to do cameras and videos of sites, it's much cheaper than ever. Using drones as well to capture daily progress reports, having a drone photo done every day of your construction project. Or if you're doing an audit, showing the visual, and maybe you look at that photograph compared to what it looked like 6 months ago or 2 years ago to see, oh, I didn't realize somebody put all this, this used equipment or this impacted soil in the back of the property that wasn't there 6 months ago. Let's dig into it and fix the problem. So when you look at sea or tidal surge, there's a lot of different types of water level sensors that are out there. So some of these things can be used, permanently installed, and then the data just comes back into your visual. And then sometimes there's other data sets that are available from public organizations that have similar devices out there, and you can connect their network and their data into your network and your data and put it together, what we're collecting and what the region, somebody in the region is collecting as well. So, again, this is looking at, if water level ever reaches here on the embankment, you'll know about it. If a storm is coming, you can look at things and maybe be better prepared for emergency response as well, because you're seeing where that storm's coming in, where you're likely starting to see flooding that you're going to need to respond to. And that's not just on one island, but in your case, you have a lot of different islands that you're responsible for and trying to help in that situation. This was a project where we had a tool we developed to both visualize and model how much impact from storm intensities. It's kind of a coastal resource management tool that we put together and planned for the climate change. And we could use the model to see where we might have flooding and issues and how we can respond to it. So there was a GIS aspect to this and a big modeling aspect to it. There's a website that was put together for the client that they can go in and they can actually click on these different tools and layers and see what the model would look like and what the data looks like to be predictive and helpful. And I know that we're seeing more and more of this from a coastal resiliency standpoint. Allows you to predict what's going to happen and model things based on existing and new data as it's changing, and being able to respond more appropriately. This is a system that was just built over in Cable Beach, and it's a water and oil recovery system. The neat thing about this is anywhere I have a laptop or my cell phone, I can log in and I can see the data sets. This is an oil water separator. It tells you real time to the second what the flow rate is, what the pressures are, when the pumps are cycling on and off. I can look at the amperage draw from each of the pumps to try to predict if there's a problem or see a problem before it happens and do the maintenance before I lose a pump. You can remotely adjust the system as well. This is a water level sensor here, and this is a pump that turns on at these set points based on this level changing. I can go in and I can adjust that. I can also go in and adjust the frequency of electricity going to that pump. That's going to change the flow rate here. And then there's also other re-injection trenches and galleries here where we can monitor the levels and so forth. So no matter where I am, I can be monitoring this and make adjustments as needed. If a storm's coming in, I can make the right adjustments to tweak the system and make adjustments to be prepared for that. Also, when you look at, we do a lot of work with a new road or pipeline that needs to go in and trying to avoid wetlands, avoid sensitive areas. And there's GIS mapping and information management tools that can look at an area. This is the region where we want to take it from here to here, and have the computer tell us what's the path that's going to have the least issues. Maybe there's historical areas we want to stay away from. There's marshlands or other important infrastructure, and it can really drive some of these important aspects. So this is a tool, for new, I talk about road and pipelines, but this could be a new school. This could be a new development that's being constructed. How to make sure we're being environmentally sensitive and just sensitive to neighbors and so forth. Health and safety. This is actually 6 different dashboards on one slide. So I know it's very busy, but just safety alone, you could be tracking a lot of different things and incidents and so forth. This could be a dashboard that you're looking at. If you're using 10 different core contractors for civil construction work, you can compare those contractors and their safety records and how they're doing with incidents and so forth. Who's being most proactive in the field with their safety moments and so forth. And this is statistics. So for a lot of our clients, this is more important than ever.